Despite being the largest electric vehicle manufacturer in the world today, Tesla was nowhere to be found in Joe Biden's lineup for a summit for the automobile industry. You would think they'd be at the top of the priority list, but it seems like Joe Biden is turning a blind eye to Tesla. This urged Tesla's founder Elon Musk to take some kind of a grudge. On August 5th, Joe Biden hosted an EV summit in order to incorporate with his values and goals as president. The event's guest list had the names of corporate giants such as executives from General Motors, Ford, and Stellantis, the parent company for Chrysler. But like we said, the leading enterprise for EVs was nowhere to be found. To think that Elon Musk owns the number one EV manufacturer by more than tenfold, it's really questionable how he was not invited. Elon Musk was all kinds of confused, even tweeting out that he found it odd that Tesla was not asked to be part of it. It could have been an accidental mistake, an extremely clumsy and coincidental one at that point, but Elon Musk was about to step it up and claim something he knew Joe Biden cannot be blind to this time. Welcome to Financial Market TV. If you're new to the channel and enjoy content like this, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. Also, please don't hesitate to share your comments down below and give this video a like. Let's get started. We don't know if you remember, but 4 astronauts launched into the Earth's orbit on September 15th. This was a pretty big achievement for mankind. SpaceX garnered almost hundreds and thousands of viewers as it gave us an orbit tour of the famous Dragon Resilience. With a pretty huge network, SpaceX was able to raise beyond their $200 million goal that was intended to go to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital. But even as this big breakthrough was the talk of the town, there was one person who remained unfazed: President Joe Biden. Did he really not care? Well, one person took it to Twitter to ask Elon Musk with a tweet saying, "The President of the United States has refused to even acknowledge the 4 newest American astronaut who helped raise millions of dollars for St. Jude. What's your theory on why that is?" Elon decided to casually reply with, "He's still sleeping," a reference to Israel's former prime minister who initially accused Biden of sleeping in the middle of a meeting. President Joe Biden's EV deal aims to unequally distribute EV tax credits to union factories, which Tesla is not included in. This doesn't really sound like a big blow for the company since it obviously does not need the government's funding, but Biden is not only bluntly ignoring Tesla's innovative accomplishments, but he is also pushing on plans behind closed doors. During the EV summit, Joe Biden claims that Mary Barra, who was the CEO of General Motors, was the very reason why the EV industry has advanced so much. He then proceeds to discuss a certain Zoom call, apparently between corporate executives and leading leaders of the industry, that Tesla, again, was not included in. Well, you can imagine how this irked Elon Musk, and goes on to explain how this is all happening because Biden is controlled by the unions, or so he believes. Essentially, President Biden, or any government leader for that matter, has to appeal to unions or lobbyists. Lobbying is basically legal bribing since they have strong influence to sway the interests of several public officials. Millions of dollars are being spent on lobbyists every year. For example, General Motors spent as much as $7 million in lobbying for just the year 2021. In addition, the United Auto Works, or UAW, has been highly catered to by the government. It has been one of the largest unions in America, with the sole goal to help employees obtain greater benefits, which does not sound too bad until you get to the part where the UAW charges gigantic fees. In order to be part of the UAW, workers have to be paid around 1.44% of their gross pay. If you earn at least $50,000 annually, you'd have $720 to pay for the year. And this is obviously a big amount to pay. So what happens to all this money? It has to be shown in recent investigations that a suspicious and surprising amount of UAW funds have been constantly pocketed by the UAW leaders. As of now, 16 people have already been caught making their union cash cow. Auditors also discovered around $2 million in improper expenditure by the UAW workers, including spending on gambling, guns, and child support payments. As you can see, these are no way tied to the UAW. Elon Musk has been vocal about being against unions before. He claims that enormous fees on UAW payments make no sense when Tesla can offer more benefits to their workers without them. But despite how unreasonable the UAW may be, the group has such a powerful influence and can practically steer the government. Ron Barron, a billionaire fund manager who was one of Tesla's early investors, also believed that Biden's exclusion of Elon seems very ridiculous, especially since Elon's empire has created such a big and positive impact all over the world. In his opinion, it was crazy to think that the White House held a meeting for EV's advancement and skipped just the biggest and leading manufacturer in the industry. Politicians have recently been touting a potential tax on unrealized capital gains. These are gains on stocks that are yet to be sold, and Elon is not in favor of this proposed tax, while the Biden administration has been very supportive of it. In response to this, Elon has recently pledged to sell 10% of his Tesla stock in order to pay potential taxes on unrealized gains. To add more fuel to this Biden versus Musk fire, the president recently praised General Motors for being the one that carried the country's automobile industry, as if he did not know that it was Tesla who single-handedly spearheaded the growth of electric vehicles. The company first started its original Roadster back in 2010 and now has released the latest Model S Plaid. But, of course, even with those incredible achievements, Biden chose to praise Mary Barra, the chief executive of General Motors. He continued to claim that they had come to a discussion on the need for America to lead in EVs. Apparently, Barra had announced that GM would be 100% electric by 2035, and he was very firm with his comment. Now, we could not discredit General Motors as they were the ones to come up with an electric vehicle back in the 90s, but they were only able to keep it up for so long and decided to cut it after a few years. We have Elon's mother, May Musk, join in the picture as she joked on how Biden's speech was practically outdated and that he might have had GM's 1990 EVs in mind. She even tweeted, "Biden's speech was written 20 years ago, just before GM killed the electric car. His speechwriter uploaded the wrong file." Elon then proceeds to reply with a tweet saying, "Sigh." And to make things worse, he attached a link to a video of President Biden who was apparently rambling incoherently, making no sense in the middle of a speech. Another Twitter user tweeted his agreement to Musk's statement, saying that it was a huge slap to the face of all Tesla employees who worked so hard to lead the way when Biden decided to ignore all of the company's achievements for America, in which Elon also replied with, "Indeed." In addition, we all know that among the recent administration of Biden is Kamala Harris, who is currently the Vice President of the United States. Not long after Biden's infamous EV speech, Harris took to Twitter to criticize Tesla, saying, "With a bipartisan infrastructure law, we're going to build electric vehicles and the batteries and parts that go in them in the United States instead of relying on other countries." Kamala is overlooking Tesla by stating that the Biden administration's EV bill will kickstart American EV revolution. But safe to say that everybody knows that Tesla, the leading EV automaker in the world, who literally manufactures in America, started this innovation. The traditional automakers were just simply behind when it came to the rise of EVs. Furthermore, Tesla is extremely vertically integrated, with its parts mostly manufactured in the United States. According to the American Auto Index, 65% of the parts of the Tesla Model 3 came from America, while on the other hand, only 24% of the Chevy Bolt and 15% of the Ford Mach-E were sourced in the US. One Twitter user claimed that for the first time ever, the most American-made car is fully electric. Elon then replied with a tweet, "True." With this record, Kamala's claims that Biden's administration will spearhead an EV revolution deems to be pretty pointless. David Sachs, a famous capitalist, retweeted Kamala's tweet, but not before adding his own words saying, "The future is already here and it was built by Tesla." Epic gaslighting by the White House. First to snub Tesla at their EV summit and now to pretend their union payoff in BBB will be responsible for Tesla's EV revolution. Elon decided to joke around and reply to Sachs with, "Maybe they are NPCs, and Tesla just isn't in their dialogue tree? Let's see if we can get them to say the word Tesla." In other news, Joe Biden's supposedly support for GM is completely ironic, since Chevrolet is failing to actually manufacture EVs. The Chevy Bolt, GM's flagship electric vehicle, was recently forced to be recalled because of huge fire risks. Records show that at least 8 of these Chevy Bolts manufactured in the span of 2 years have burst into flames from battery issues. This affected the EV's production and was eventually stopped by 2021. This gave Elon an opportunity to laugh at their claims, retweeting an article on Chevy Bolt's failed attempt on revolutionizing the EVs, while adding the caption, "Transforming America." Eventually, it comes down to the fact that Biden's ignorance of Tesla seems very unreasonable. Regardless of everyone's bias and political stand, it's the upper hand to support the transition of vehicles to sustainable energies, and it is well known that Tesla plays an extremely important part in that kind of movement and should not be excluded from the government's discussions. It seems that there are some corrupt variables that push this kind of bias over Biden administration, whether it comes from lobbyists and unions or from a power play situation that goes on behind the curtain. But we can all agree that it was not GM that started the EV revolution, nor the unions. It was Tesla at the wheel when the jump to sustainable energy started growing and developing. And for that, they should be credited for so many of its advancements that brought a positive impact to society. Well, we know that the world is not fair, and it's definitely not perfect. There are corruptions lurking at every possible development, corporate bullies who want to undermine a company's big breakthrough. So we could say that it's not surprising that Tesla has formed some enemies and haters. Oh well, like they all say, haters gonna hate, right, Elon? Thanks for watching the whole video. Again, if you're new and like this type of content, subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to leave a comment down below and hit that like button. Also, click on the notification bell to get updated on our weekly uploads. See you in the next video!